Shalom. This week's parasha, Metzora, continues where we left off last week in Parashat Tazria, dealing with matters related to ritual purity and impurity, in particular dealing with the biblical disease known as tzara'at, usually translated into English as leprosy. The parasha tells us how the Kohen, the priest, was, amongst other things, tasked with diagnosing the disease and treating it. But not only treating the people who suffered from tzara'at, the Metzora was the biblical leper, but also treating the house. The house could be afflicted with tzara'at as well, and the priest had a job with regard to diagnosing the problem in the house, in the physical structure, and treating that as well. Well, it's probably not too difficult for us to imagine a Kohen functioning in the role of a medical practitioner, but the notion of a Kohen serving as a kind of building inspector seems a little bizarre to us, at least until we take a look at the rabbinic take on what tzara'at is, which is that those who are afflicted with tzara'at are those who are suffering from some kind of personal moral decay. And the best example that the Midrash brings us is the example of Miriam, the older sister of Moshe, of our teacher Moses, who, because she was a Motzia Shemra, she had slandered, she had badmouthed with her Lashon Hara, with her evil tongue, Moshe's wife Tzipporah, she was afflicted with tzara'at. Now, how did she badmouth Tzipporah? Tzipporah was from Cush, known today as Ethiopia, and therefore, as a black woman, in the eyes of Tzipporah, she was not good enough for Moshe. There was something wrong with her. Or as Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson, the dean of the Ziegler Rabbinical School at the American Jewish University, wrote, she was too black. And so there's great irony in the fact that she's afflicted with this disease that causes her skin to turn a scaly white color because she looked at her sister-in-law Tzipporah as being too black. Rabbi Artson teaches us that this issue of moral decay is one that goes beyond just the individual, but is actually a communal issue. We as a people, we as citizens, we as human beings have responsibility not only towards other people, but towards our world, our environment. And he notes that the importance of the Kohen in this ritual is because of the fact that we have to represent the community as somehow implicated in the suffering of the Metzora, in not combating racism, in not combating the pollutants and the polluters who are destroying our world. The notion that communal responsibility plays a role in ridding the world of terrible diseases caused by gossip and slander and libel really comes home this week as we read about the retraction by Judge Richard Goldstone of South Africa, who headed a commission that investigated the war in Gaza 2 years ago, Operation Cast Lead, and even though he is a member of the Jewish community in South Africa, his commission came to an unbelievable conclusion, that the Israelis were responsible for committing inhumane acts and war crimes in the course of the operation. This week, Judge Goldstone has announced a retraction of those findings. Well, many are hailing that decision, but the truth is, I think, personally, it's too little and it's too late. Having met a number of those Israelis who served in Gaza and who were tasked with evacuating civilians so that they would not be in harm's way during the course of Israel's response to terror attacks coming out of Gaza, I know firsthand that, I know secondhand that the Israelis were charged falsely with any kind of war crimes by the Goldstone Commission. It reminds me of the story that's told about Lashon Hara, about spreading slander and evil gossip, about the rabbi who rebukes the congregant who has an inclination towards telling tales out of school, slandering and gossiping about others, and who responds to the rabbi's charges that it's inappropriate by saying it can't do any harm, it's only a little fun gossip. At which point the rabbi suggests taking a feather pillow, ripping it open, and throwing all the feathers up into the air, and then tells the congregant to go and collect all the feathers. Well, that's impossible. Can't do it. They've flown everywhere. Exactly the point the rabbi says. When you gossip, when you slander, you have no idea just how far those destructive words are going to reach and what kind of harm they're going to do. It will take a long time, as the Chicago Tribune's editorial on this issue says, it will take a long time for us to, or for Goldstone, to be able to have that retraction be as effective as the original report was and restore Israel's good name to Israel. Slander and gossip not only bring evil into the world, but they are the contrary, they are the opposite of God's plan for how we should live. And so, even if we do not literally believe in the notion of a God who afflicts people with diseases such as tzara'at, we can buy into the notion that these are guidelines for how we're supposed to build a better world for all of us to live in together, even for the state of Israel. Shabbat Shalom.